I don't use a mic. I hope that we all can hear my voice. It projects pretty loud in the back. If you can't hear me, just kind of listen in better. Exactly. They got me boxed in, so I can't go outside this area. That's okay. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am excited to be here this morning. I must say, and I hope we all have a sense of humor here. Chad, this room is very white. It's a very white room. I looked up one time and I was sweating. I said, my brother's a color in here, all right? Okay, we're together. No, I'm excited to be here. Phenomenal opportunity. And every time I get this chance to speak in front of brothers, speak in front of men, speak in front of the kingdom men, the hair stands up on the back of my neck. I get excited because God is going to do some wonderful things in our lives. He is going to do some wonderful things in our lives. And you guys, and a lot of you have military experience and a military background, and understand that you are the captain and that God is going to use you in a way that He's never used you before. But a lot of it has to do with you having the ability and you, like they talked about here, you taking the chance to go out there, stepping out of your comfort zone and being the change agent for Christ. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of my testimony, and I hope at the end of it, my grandmother always just tell me, it's a room probably about 40 or 50 of us in here. I got to just change one. I got to get one to get transformed. I got to get one that says after he spoke, he charged me. After he spoke, he gave me an opportunity to go and do something spectacular. So I'm not looking for all 50 of you. God didn't call me to get all 50 of you. I just got to get one. I just got to get one, and then that one will get one, and then that one will get one, and that one will get one. And then the legacy will be 50 years from now, someone will say, my life was transformed and changed because of, and they'll never know who Jessee Holley was, but they'll know you, who knew him, and who knew him. So I get a chance, I stand up here, and Chad, he rattles off all these great things, All-American in 2 sports, played 2 sports at North Carolina, won a national championship, played 5 years in the National Football League, a reality TV show. Sony bought the rights to my life story, all these great things, and still I'm just a man. And I get a chance to stand in front of other great men. And you hear these accolades, and sometimes I get a little bit nervous because I go, I'm so flawed. I'm so... And every single day I'm shocked and amazed that God still decides to use me. He says, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done, no matter where you come from, I can use you. Look at all the great men in the Bible. All of them have something going on. All of them have gone through something. And God said, yeah, I can't use the perfect man. The perfect man won't relate to the stories that I have to go out there and tell people. The perfect man won't be able to go and say, I understand that. I understand that. I understand that. So God has to use us flawed brothers to go out there and change His kingdom. Like I said, my name is Jessee Holley. I was born and raised in Roselle, New Jersey. I am the middle of 3 boys. I have an older brother named Jamel. I have a younger brother named Joseph. We're all J's. I'm 6'3", 230. The rest of my brothers are 5'7" and 5'9", 155 pounds and 175 pounds. All same mother, same father. So she say. That's what she said. That's what she said. I didn't say it. And it's great. And I come from, raised by my grandmother. My father was a drug dealer. My mother was a drug addict. Don't know how. She said that he never got hooked to drugs. He said he never introduced her to drugs, but somehow, some way, they both were involved, and neither one of them was in our lives. Raised by my grandmother, who made less than $40,000 a year in a small town called Roselle, New Jersey. It's near Linden, Elizabeth. If you guys ever travel to New Jersey, that's where I'm from. And so it's always interesting because statistically, it says that someone in my stature, in my standings, the statistics say that I should either be in dead or in jail. Those are my options. Those were my options. Dead or in jail. Single family home, less than $40,000 a year, no mother, no father, living in the hood. Dead, jail. And I tell people all the time, those who counted me out just can't count. Those who counted me out just can't count. And so I have this opportunity, and I go on prolific high school career into sports, and I get a chance to go to the University of North Carolina, an experience like none other. It was just one that was just amazing. And then that's when the story picks up. That's when the story picks up and it gets really interesting, because I get to the University of North Carolina and I'm having these thoughts and I'm saying, man, all this great stuff is happening to me. All these great things are happening to me, but I just felt unfulfilled. And it was finally time for me to say, maybe I need to give my life to Christ. But there was a series of events that led up to that. And it happened in the summer school of my sophomore year. And I remember I was in summer school, and it's funny because God knows exactly what attracts us. He knows exactly how to get our attention. And I was in summer school, and I remember I was sitting, it was a communications class, and I'm sitting in there, and the teacher says, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pair you guys up in class, and you're going to spend a day of class with that person, interviewing them, getting to know them, then you'll report back to class, and from there, you will then tell us about that person. And that day was, she walked in there every single day. Her name was Princess Lacewell. I was like, man, I need to be with Princess Lacewell. That was my vice. The women. Didn't drink, didn't smoke, wasn't a partier. That was my vice. And that was the first time I really went home and said a sincere prayer. I got down on my hands and knees and I said a sincere prayer. I said, God, if you are as good as they say you are, if you really can truly make things happen, then I need to be with Princess. Get back to class the next day, and they had like the old school overhead projectors. And I remember she put a piece of paper on top of another piece of paper, and she was kind of slowly pulling the names back. And she got to my name, and it said Jessee Holley. By the way, Thad, I'm with you on that one. They spelled my name wrong, too. There's no I in Jessee. There's no I in Jessee. It's just Jessee. And she pulls the name back, and it's Jessee Holley. And I remember, you ever have those moments where it's like really 2 seconds, but it seems like an eternity? And she's pulling those names back, and sure enough, Princess Lacewell was next to my name. And I remember Princess always sat to my far right, 2 rows behind me. And I kind of looked around like, oh, you? Me? Oh, okay, cool. But on the inside, I'm like, let's go, baby. Me and Princess. And so I go and I'm like, we do our little interview deal, and I'm saying, hey, how can I get to know you a little bit better? He said, well, I'm a full-time student. I plan on graduating in 3 years, and I work full-time. The only time that I have off is on Sunday. You want to go to church with me? Church? Sunday's my rest day. He said on the 7th day he rested. That's me who he was talking about. I'm the guy I'm the rested one on the 7th day. That's me. And so I said, well, okay. So I go, and the first time, and we've all been in that place where we go to church and you really don't hear anything the pastor says. My focus was getting to meet Princess out there to go have some brunch or something like that. So we go, we have brunch, have a really good time. And then she goes, at the end of it, I said, well, when can I spend some more time with you? She said, well, there's always next Sunday. I said, there's no way I'm giving you 2 Sundays in a row. Come on now, Princess, I gave you this Sunday. Remember the rest thing? My day, I get IHOP, and I go back, and she goes, well, I told you I'm a full-time student. I work full-time, and I'm trying to graduate in 3 years. So I said, all right, I'll give you 1 more Sunday. And that was my transformational Sunday. Because I go in the next Sunday, and we've all had those moments where we just feel like, who told the pastor my business? Who told him? And he is laying it out. He is saying everything that's going on in my life. And I'm saying, and I'm crying. Here I am crying in front of this girl I'm trying to impress, because this pastor is just, telling my story. And it was at that moment I said, I need to give my life to Christ. All these great things that have happened to me, my life should be, totally different. I grew up in a situation and around. Now, I'm from New Jersey, like I told you guys before. Now, a little bit about my background is, there's a movie that was out a couple years ago called New Jersey Drive. And that was because New Jersey at one point in time was the stolen car capital of the country. I added to that statistic because that's what we did. And so I had a group of friends that we would go and steal cars, take them in, trade the parts in, make money off of it. And I remember reflecting back to one specific moment that when you start reflecting back, you're like, man, God had me there. Man, God had me there. Man, God had me there. He was with me right there. And he was with me right there. And there was one specific moment where we were looking to go to the skating rink. It was a Friday night. We were like, man, we want to go out to the skating rink. We want to have a good time. We had no ride. So what did we do? Well, we knew best. We stole a car. And we're still in this car, and in order to get to the skating rink, you had to drive through a specific part of town called Kenilworth to get to Skate 22. Now, in this specific part of town, it was a really, really richy white neighborhood. And on this intersection, there was always sitting a Dunkin' Donuts, a post office, a little mom and pop gas station, mechanic shop, and a store called Krauser's. It's like a 7-Eleven type store. And you can go out there every single day. There's always a cop right there. No, the cop wasn't in the donut shop. They always sat in the post office parking lot. They weren't getting donuts. And so we steal these cars, and we're going to the skating rink, and we drive, and we got to go through Kenilworth. And sure enough, boom, we drive through. There's no cops out there, but the car breaks down at the light. 4 black kids in a white neighborhood in a stolen car, and the car breaks down at the light that the cop is always sitting at. So we pushed this car over to the mom and pop little gas station, store over there. And I remember telling my friends, I said, hey, I'm going over to the store to get a hot chocolate. It was February. It was cold outside. I'm going to get a hot chocolate. Does anyone want anything? No, we're good. And I go in, and 5 minutes later, I come out of this store, and the cops surround this car on all my friends. And I watched them take all of my friends to jail for having a stolen car. And I'm like, that should have been me. I should have been in that group, right? But now if I'm in that group, bye-bye North Carolina, bye-bye all the accolades, bye-bye. And it was just so many situations, again, no mother, no father, making us afford. There was so many situations in my life where God was saying, I got you, son. I got something better for your life. Where I was supposed to be dead and gone and a statistic in the street, and God was just carrying me. And it was in that moment in that church that day where I was crying my eyes out. Because I was saying, my life would not be this way if it wasn't for Christ. And it was at that moment that I said, I need to start giving the proper respect to where it's due. And so I did. So I began my walk with Christ. I got saved, and I'm walking with Christ, and and my career in college is going well. I won a national championship, and then I get to the National Football League. I'm an undrafted free agent to the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm there. I'm like, this is it. But then you go into this locker room, you're a young kid, and you don't want to be the Bible-thumping guy in there and telling everybody, well, Jesus said, and Jesus was, and Jesus did, and don't do that, Bob, because Jesus, you don't want to be that guy. So you come in and you try to fit into the culture, and I did. And I did everything that I thought the culture and the locker room culture was supposed to do. And I had all the women, and I was partying. And if you know anything about kind of the Ohio area, I was flying one girl into CVG and taking another girl out of the Dayton airport. So I was riding up and down the highway. She's flying out, she's flying in, not studying, not doing all these things. God has given me this tremendous gift. I'm 1% of 1%. I'm in the National Football League. I'm not studying. I'm not doing all I have to do what God has given me the gift. And God said, you know what? Cool. I got you. And he took it all away. I get a phone call one day, and it was gone. Now, luckily, my grandmother, she raised us kind of right when it came to money a little bit. So I had somewhere to stay because I paid my rent off for 6 months. But I sat in this apartment, depressed and down and out and embarrassed because the one thing that I had was gone. Side note, I put my entire being into football. First mistake. All of us has professions and jobs that we go to right now. That is not who you are. See, at that time, if you would have asked me, who is Jessee Holley? I'm a football player. I'm a football player. And so when God took it away, I found myself in this depressive state, and I found myself looking around saying, I don't really know who I am because the one thing that I connected myself to is gone. So understand, Bob, whatever it is in a lot of work that you do, that's not who you are. You're God representative on that job so that the world knows what it looks like for whatever that. I'm God representative. I was supposed to be God representative of what Christ looks like in a football uniform in the locker room. So if you're a construction worker, if you're a doctor, if you're a mechanic, if you're a finance guy, if you're a real estate guy, if you're a whatever guy, that's not who you are. That's what you do. But you're God's representative in that field so that the world knows what God looks like in that specific field. Understand that. We as men sometimes put our identity in the things that we do. And that's not who we are. It's exactly what I just said. It's what we do. We are representative of Christ in that field. So that when that thing's taken away or it's time to move and transform, your identity isn't in that. My identity was in football. And so when it got taken away, I had no clue who I was. I had lost my relationship with Christ. Now here I am. I'm out here in this world just free and doing just wild and just with no purpose and no direction. And I'm too embarrassed to go back home because those people I told, who counted me out just couldn't count. Well, they were saying that, well, you won't be in the league for a long time. You'll be back here in Roselle soon. So I was too embarrassed to go back to Roselle, so I hightailed it back to Durham, North Carolina. But stupidly, I spent up all my money. I was lying to folks, telling, I'm getting workouts in, I'm about to be back in the league. And the money was gone, and I was sleeping on a friend's futon. I had no money. When I say I had no money, I wasn't talking about I was rich broke. You know how like celebrities say like, oh, I got to file for bankruptcy because I only have $20 million left. No, I was broke. Like calling the back of calling the ATM card and like, you have $32.22. I'm like, huh. And she's like, I want to go on a date. I'm like, we're going to what date you want to go on because I can't afford anything. And so what did I have to do? I had to humble myself, right? And this is around 2007, 2008. So we're in the height of the recession. I have a degree from a prestigious university and I can't get a job. So I ended up working as a security guard. 23, 24 years old. I'm in the prime of my life. I'm an NFL football player. No knock to security guards, but I wasn't supposed to be a security guard. I was supposed to be in the National Football League. And the thing that I hated most about being a security guard, because if you're in law enforcement or any type of that kind of field, they always tell you that you can't wear like good ties, like the tie. You got to wear the clip-on tie. All right? You know how humiliating I felt every night putting this dumb clip-on tie on to get ready to go do a security job? And then in the morning, I worked at T-Mobile. I would put on this pink fuchsia type T-Mobile shirt. And so I worked from 11 at night to 7 in the morning. I trained from 7:30 to 9:30. And then I worked T-Mobile from 10 to 3 every single day. Every single day. And we talked about isolation, that trip about isolation. God had isolated me. He had put me in a place of isolation. He broke me. He humbled me. Because here I was at the top of the world, and I didn't appreciate it. I didn't do what I was called to do in Christ with this humongous gift that He's given me. And I remember, anybody works third shift or has worked third shift before? Third shifters. And I remember, right, you guys know this, around like 3 o'clock in the morning-ish, right, the world's dead. There's nothing happening. It's quiet. You don't hear anything. And I remember walking the grounds, securing these grounds. And I remember I got to a point I was so broken, I was so down. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I remember I got to my hands and knees outside in this courtyard. I remember looking up to God and I was saying, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? I had nothing left at that point. And I'm asking God, what do you want from me? You've taken everything away from me. The one thing that I had that I can say that was mine and that I can just rely on, the gift that you've given me, you took it away from me. I'm here as a security guard. I hate this tie. I'm working at T-Mobile. What do you want from me? I have nothing left. I don't have $1 to my name. I'm embarrassed to go home. What do you want from me? He said, you. That's it. That's all I want, Jessee. I want you. I don't want that other mess. I don't want the hokey pokey, you in, you out. I want you. All of you. If you give me that, that's more than enough. Give me you. Just like you are. I don't need you to go get cleaned up. I don't need you to go get fancy. I don't need you to be in the league. I don't need you to have millions of dollars. I don't need you to have the prettiest of girls. I don't need you to have the fanciest of cars or the biggest of houses or the best of jobs. I need you. Just the way you are, just how I made you. You give me that, and that is more than enough. And I gave him me. I said, you got me. You got me. And in an instant. And that's the thing. See, sometimes we think that, right, we got to get all dressed up, and I got to have the tie on, I got to have the nice house in the car for God to really work with me, to do things with me. God is saying, I don't need all that. I'm God. I'm God. You got that because I gave it to you. So why do I need you to get fixed up for you to come back home to me? I gave it. I'll take it away. I'll give it back. I'll take it away. I'll give it to you double time. I'll take it away. So if you're in a state of saying, you know what, I want to commit myself to God, but I'm just not quite, God is saying, listen, give me you. And then he began to move things like this. See, our limited thinking is saying, well, God, how are you going to get me here to there? And God, how you... No, see, don't think for God. He's good. He doesn't need your limited thinking. He's God. See, while you're thinking limited, well, how is this going to work, God? You know, I want to be a doctor, but I got 6 years of school and residency, and how I'm going to get this and the loan to get my own practice. God is saying, whoa, I don't need your limited thinking helping me out. We get so limited in our thinking, we try to put our limitations on God. God is saying, just trust me. Give me you, I'll handle the rest. Give me you, I'll take care of the rest. I've been doing it all this time. I'm kind of good at what I do. And things begin to happen. And I remember one night I'm sitting there and I get a call from a guy by the name of Kevin Best. And I've given my life, I'm saying, all right, God, here you go, you got me. But this situation, you know, this is killing me, God. And I get a call from a guy by the name of Kevin Best. Now, Kevin Best was the PR guy at the University of North Carolina. I had been removed out of school for about 2 years now. And Kevin gives me a call. It's about 9:30-ish at night. And he gives me a call. He said, Jess, this is KB. Just want to give you a call and say, hey, see how you, check on you. He said, but also want to let you know, some people called me from this TV network, and they're putting together this show. And they asked me that I know anybody who had the ability to play football on Sunday, but also had the charismatic personality to be on TV. I just want to call and let you know that I gave them your information, your number, your email, whatever. They may be calling you in a couple of days. Cool, KB, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Well, okay. A couple of days later, I get a call. A guy by the name of DJ from 8 Ball Production, Spike TV. Said, hey, how you doing? My name is DJ. Got your number from Kevin Best. Hey, here's what's going on. We're starting this show. Can't tell you much about it, but here's what we're doing. I'm going to email you an application. Please fill it out. Send it back to me. Fax it to me so that we can get this process rolling. And so I do it. And it's this show about football players and all this other kind. I'm like, all right, whatever. I had a call a couple of days later, and it's like, hey, thanks, man. I got your fax. We got your information. So, hey, we're doing these auditions in 5 cities. We're doing 2 in LA. We're doing 1 in Ohio, 1 in Orlando, 1 in Texas. Is there any possible way that you can get to one of these auditions? It's a 2-day audition, and you got to perform in front of the camera on one day, and the next day you got to do an on-field combine type workout. Can you make it? So I'm like, sure, I'll be there. Orlando. Cool. I got no money. I'm in North Carolina. When I say I'm broke, I'm so broke that one night I was driving my car to work, and I couldn't afford insurance anymore, so my insurance lapsed. I didn't pay insurance anymore. I couldn't afford it. And I got pulled over. And a nice lady cop, she didn't take my car and tow it. She said, hey, you're not too far from home. Turn around. I'll follow you home. You'll park the car. I'm going to take your license plates. So I said, all right, thank you. So I went and I stole a license plate from another car in the apartment complex. No, this is a true story. I stole a license plate from another car in the complex to put it on my car to get back and forth to work. So I'm saying, all right, how am I going to get to Orlando? I told these folks that I was coming to Orlando. How am I going to get there? I said, I can't drive. Imagine me getting pulled over in the backwoods of Tennessee with a stolen license plate on my car. That may not go too well. Just saying, right? I can't fly, can't buy a bus ticket. So I'm saying, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. But I was thinking like a limited man. While God was working on my behalf. A couple of days later, I get a call from my godmother. Random. Hey, baby, just called to check on you. Haven't heard from you in a while. Hope things are going well. How's it going out with your workouts for teams? I'm like, oh, yeah, it's going well. I'm lying. Yeah, it's going well. I got a couple teams lined up. I'll be back in the league before you know it. And we talk. She goes, and we go to hang up. I go, all right, well, I'll talk to you later. She goes, oh, wait. Do you need to go anywhere? Excuse me? Do you need to go anywhere? I said, yeah, why? She goes, well, the airline contacted me because I bought a flight last year to go home to Alabama to see my dad. But Dylan, her son, got sick, and I couldn't go. And they called me and told me that if I don't use this flight, that I'm going to lose this flight. And I have nowhere to go. So if you want it or need it, I can give it to you. I'll just see what it costs to change your name on the ticket. I said, I need to get to Orlando on these dates. She said, well, let me call and find out, see what I can do. And if I can, you got it. Called me back about 20 minutes later and said, hey, you're good to go. You have a ticket to Orlando. They let me do it. It cost me about $100 to change it. Don't worry about it. Give it to me later. Great. I got a ticket to Orlando. Now I'm saying, well, where do I stay? I got to be there for 2 days. Just think. Where are you going to stay? I said, oh. There's a lady by the name of Miss Denoya. Miss Denoya was my 5th grade teacher, but she dated my great uncle for years. She moved to Orlando about 6 years ago. And while I was in college, she would always call me and say, hey, if you want to come down for spring break, you're more than welcome to come on down. I got more than enough room. I got a pool. I get tickets to the park. You can come out into the park. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, okay. I said, let me call Miss Denoya. I said, hey, Miss Denoya, this is Jessee. She said, hey, how are you doing, sweetie? I said, I'm doing well. Are you still in Orlando? She said, absolutely, I'm still here. I said, hey, I'm coming your way in a couple of weeks. Is it possible that I can stay there for a day or two while I'm in town? She goes, yeah, but where are you going? What are you coming for? I said, well, there's some kind of show that I got to come out there for. Long story short, I'm staying at this. I need to get to this address. She said, are you serious? I said, yes. She said, it's 5 minutes from my house. I said, what? She goes, I drive by that hotel every single day. I come out of my cul-de-sac, I make it right, I drive down the middle of the street, it's right on the left-hand side, right before I get on the highway. I drive by it every single day. I know exactly where you have to go. She goes, you can walk there in about 10, 15 minutes from my house. I said, well, can I stay? She said, absolutely, come on down. And so I go down to this. Now, I went from not having any money and no way to get to Orlando, but I'm thinking my limited self that, man, how am I going to make this happen? And God is saying, chill. I'm kind of good at what I do. And now I have a plane ticket and a place to stay. I go do this 2-day audition. I only have to do 1 day because they love me so much. They said, you know what? Don't even come back till tomorrow. I'm putting a star by your name. I said, well, what does that mean? And he says, well, when we go back to LA, there'll be many of us who will sit at a table and we'll kind of break down all these players. I will be standing on the table for you. I said, perfect. I got to spend a day at the park with Miss DeNoyle. It was pretty cool. I finally got to Orlando for spring break like she's been asking me to do. So then I go back to North Carolina, and I get another call from these same people. DJ calls me and says, hey, listen, you've been chosen one of the 50 guys that we're going to send to, that need to come to LA for a week to go through all these evaluations and these tests and da-da-da-da-da, and then from that 50, we're going to pick 12. So I said, all right, listen, I gambled last time with Orlando, and it happened to work out for me. I'm going to tell you guys now, I can't afford to fly to California. I don't have the money to stay in a hotel. Sorry. Like, I'm just be honest with you up front. He said, oh, don't worry about it. The 50 guys that we're flying out there, we're going to fly you guys out there and put you up and give you $75 a day. You just got to have the availability to get there. So I'm like, great, I'm there. Book me. So I go to my T-Mobile boss, because I had 2 jobs, right? I'm still got to make some sort of money. I go to my T-Mobile boss and I go, hey, Don, here's what I need. He goes, great, you got it. I've been a huge fan of yours since college. You can go ahead and take that time off. My night boss, sorry if I have any for all you military guys, he was like one of those stern, mean military dudes. He was Mr. Quarterman. And I go, Mr. Quarterman, listen, man, I need 7 days off to go do this deal. And he says, no way. You're my third shift supervisor. I'm not giving you 7 days off. You got your 2 days off, Fridays and Saturdays. That's all you get, period. Get out of my office. And so I begin to kind of call up everyone on my shift and saying, hey, can I have your Sunday, Monday off, and I'll give you my Friday, Saturday off this week? And I call somebody else. Hey, can I get your Tuesday, Wednesday off next week, and I'll give you your Tuesday off this week, and I'll give you my Friday, Saturday off the week after? So I was pawning my days off to people, got everybody signed off on that. I got a week off. Mr. Quarterman, let's go, baby. Let's do this. I bring it to him, all the signatures. He says, hell no, get out of my office. I said, golly. And so I was dating a girl at the time, and she said, listen, we're getting closer and closer to this time where I have to go to California. I never told them I wasn't coming. She says, before you go to work tonight, come by my house. I have something for you. So I go by her house, and she gives me a manila envelope, whatever, and she says, don't open it until the morning when you got to go see Mr. Quarterman. Because I think my last ditch meeting in the morning, I'm like, I've got to just go ahead and push for this. And so I go to her house, I get the envelope, and I'm sitting there all night, and I'm praying. I'm like, God, please, man, I don't know how the thing is going to pan out, but I really want to take a shot at this. So the morning comes, Mr. Quarterman comes in, I come in, I talk to him, I present the written signatures again. He rips them up and tells me, I told you no, I'll give you 1 extra day, but that's all you can get. If you can't do that, quit. I'm like, I have no money. I can barely pay my car insurance. I can't quit. But I go and I open up this little envelope that she gave me, and it was a letter of resignation that she had typed up for me the night before. And she had a yellow sticky note on it. And the sticky note simply said, trust God. That's all it said. And I'm looking at him, I'm looking at this note, and I said, thank you. And I walked out. And I got to my car and I said, what have I just done? I just quit a job and I don't have any money. And so I go to LA, I'm there for a week, we're sequestered in these hotels. And then after this, they send me back home and I'm working full time at T-Mobile. I'm thinking, man, I don't know what's gonna happen with this thing. This is crazy, I quit a job, I'm broke, I don't have anything left. Phone rings. So Jessee, you've been selected as being one of the 12 that's going to be on this show called Fourth and Long with Michael Irvin. It'll be on Spike TV. You'll be gone for 2 months at a time, a 2 months time frame. You tell your family that you're gone. So I'm like, wow, okay. And I remember calling my brother up, and I said, bro, listen, I said, I need $1,000. He said, what? I said, I need $1,000. He said, why? I said, because I'm already behind in bills, but I'm going to be gone for 2 months and not making any money, so I'll be really behind in bills. So if you can loan me $1,000, I promise I'll pay you back, just so I can kind of keep up my bills a little bit intact. He said, I don't have $1,000. I said, I don't care how you get it, I need $1,000. He found $1,000 from me. He didn't steal it. He went into his 401k and took some money out. But I told him, I said, I'm not going to lose. I said, I promise you, I'm not going to lose. Whatever it is that they have for me, I won't lose. He said, I believe you. And so I go on this show, and it's 2 months, no cell phone, no TVs, no iPads, no iPods, no radio, no nothing. It's 2 months, Michael Irvin tries to kill us. By the way, you can go get Fourth and Long on iTunes. I need those residuals. Go download it on iTunes if you haven't seen it before. And so I go and I win this show. I win this show. You can Google it. I am the only player in NFL history, the only player in NFL history to get in the National Football League off a reality TV show. There's no other like me. I'm one of one. I'm one of one. And so I win this show, and DJ, the guy who started from the beginning with me, says, I don't think you realize what just happened. I said, what do you mean, DJ? He said, well, remember when I called you months back and I asked you to fax me that application? I said, yeah. He said, we had over 100,000 of those. He said, remember when I met you in Orlando? He said, yeah. He said, between the 5 locations, we worked out and looked at probably about over 20,000 people. Out of that 20,000, we picked 50. Out of that 50, we picked 12. Out of the 12, there was only 1. So remember I told y'all those that counted me out couldn't count? Well, look at those odds. The only player in NFL history, and people ask me till this day, that show was in 2009. People say, man, why was there never a season 2? I said, there was never meant to be a season 2. When I was on my hands and knees in that courtyard and I asked God, what do you want from me? And he said, me, and I'll take care of everything else. God was saying, I'm going to make this such a unique situation for your life that you have no choice. That when people ask you, what happened? How'd you do it? How this thing happen? You have no other choice but to say, this was God. This was Christ working in my favor. This is Christ working in my favor. You got to give him the credit in every single step of this story from here on out. So I'm here to tell you, I know that we're tight on time, and I'll close it on this. I'm here to tell you, if you're struggling, if you're questioning, if you're wondering, what does God want from me? I'm a living, breathing testimony that he just wants you. That's it, and that's all. Second, stop putting your human limitations on God. He doesn't need your help. Stop putting your human limitations on the Almighty God. While you think he isn't working, he's already moved 10, 12 spots ahead of you. We are already promised victory. Walk in that. Live in that. Thrive in the fact that no matter what the world says, God has already promised me victory. Be kind to people. Be kind to people. As crazy and as simple as that sounds, look at the world that we live in today. Be kind to people. And I told you, I'm the only player in NFL history to do something that's different. We are all built to be different. You're not supposed to look like the world. Brian, Stephen, Mike, Mitch, Scott, Mark, Roger, we're not supposed to look like everyone else. Fernando, we're supposed to look different. We're supposed to have a different shine to us. We're supposed to have a different glow to us. Stop trying to fit in with the world. and start standing out on your greatness that God has given you. Warren, Bob, we're not supposed to fit in. We're supposed to be different. So if it's at the bank, at the office, at the gym, at the golf course, we're supposed to be different. And lastly, tell your story. Tell your story. There's a unique story in every individual in this room that God has taken you through. And all of the ups and the downs, the good, the bad, the trials and the tribulations, the triumphs, the mountaintops and the valleys are not for you. Sorry, Terry, they ain't for you. Frank, they ain't for you. Chris, they ain't for you. God is taking you through all those things, Paul, so that you can go and tell that story to someone else. He's made your shoulders a little bit broader. He made your back a little bit stronger. He made your legs a little bit more sturdier so that you can walk that walk, not for yourself, for the kingdom and for someone else. So whether it's health, finances, marriage, fatherhood, brotherhood, whatever it is, God is saying you are to take this walk not for you. Because you're going to come across a path of another brother who is lost, who needs some leadership, who needs some guidance, and you're going to be the one to tell your story that I got you through to that person. That's why we go through what we go through. That's why we should stand out. That's why we shouldn't say, you know how many times I've told this testimony? To me, sometimes I'm like, they want to hear that? And God reminds me, yes. Tell them how good I am. Never stop telling them how good I am. Never stop showing them how good I am. Never. You got bored with it, so what? It ain't for you. It's for some individual in this crowd that says, I needed to hear that God says all he wants is me. Some young man, some young woman, you never know who it's going to be. Some stranger, God is saying, I don't care if you get tired of it. Tell them about me. Tell them how good I am. Tell them how I don't need limitations. Tell them how I don't need a plan. Tell them how I can do all things. Tell your story. So whether it's at the coffee shop, the gym, the golf course, wherever, let them hear your story about how good Jesus Christ is. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed one.